Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Among the many historical tales in China, it is common to see heroes who mutually admire and sympathize with each other. However, there are also those who respect one another, yet find it difficult to truly draw close relationships that straddle the line between rivals and allies. One famous example of this delicate sentiment is the widely known lament, "Since you was born, why was Liang also born?" This line precisely captures such a nuanced emotional relationship. In modern Chinese history, two highly renowned ministers of the Qing dynasty, Zeng Guofan and Zuo Zongtang, serve as classic representatives of this kind of complex relationship. They were not only opponents in the court, but also shared a deep, inextricable emotional connection. Though they often disagreed in official matters and even broke off contact, becoming political adversaries. In their later years, both expressed deep respect and sentiment for one another. When Zuo Zongtang learned of Zeng Guofan's death, he was overcome with sorrow. And Zeng Guofan's youngest daughter, whenever she spoke of Zuo Zongtang, was so emotional that she would be moved to tears every time. This shows that despite the estrangement between the two families, the bond of affection was never truly severed. This intricate relationship featured both the clash of heroes and a mutual understanding and respect that lay deep within, leaving a lasting impression on posterity. According to historical records, during the turbulent years of the late Qing dynasty, Zeng Guofan and Zuo Zongtang, two prominent statesmen, actually had a fairly cordial relationship at the beginning. Both were high-ranking officials and fellow natives of Hunan province. In Zuo Zongtang's youth, he was even supported and promoted by Zeng Guofan. For this reason, many people naturally regarded them as allies within the same political camp. Unexpectedly, however, this seemingly solid relationship deteriorated rapidly later on, to the point of a complete falling out. The turning point in their relationship was a military victory that shocked the entire nation. Zeng Guofan and his younger brother Zeng Guoquan led their troops in a joint campaign that captured Tianjin, the capital of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. At the time, the Qing government was grappling with both internal unrest and external threats. On one hand, Western powers were pressing aggressively. On the other, the massive domestic uprising of the Taiping Rebellion was shaking the nation. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, led by Hong Xiuquan and Yang Xiuqing, claimed to be the Kingdom of God and once occupied more than half of southern China, becoming a grave internal threat to the Qing court. As a central figure in suppressing the Taiping Rebellion, Zeng Guofan once confessed that during the more than 10 years of warfare, he had personally witnessed the deaths of his father and several brothers, and had narrowly escaped death multiple times himself. Eventually, he and his brother Zeng Guoquan led the Xiong army to break through Tianjin, bringing the prolonged civil war to an end. On the very night of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom's fall, Zeng Guofan submitted a memorial to the Imperial court reporting the victory. In the document, he stated that Tianjin had been captured, and that the young king of the Taiping, Hong Futian, had committed self-immolation in the palace. The court was overjoyed and immediately bestowed upon Zeng Guofan the title of first-class duke, an exceedingly rare and prestigious honor for a Han official during the Qing dynasty. Zeng Guofan believed that his years of service had finally earned him the highest recognition, marking the peak of his career. However, just as he was basking in this glory, a memorial from Zuo Zongtang poured cold water over the celebration and completely shattered the moment of triumph. In his memorial, Zuo Zongtang pointed out that Zeng Guofan's report of the young king's self-immolation was inaccurate and unverified. He further analyzed that if the young king had not died and managed to escape Tianjin, it could pose a serious threat to the Qing court. Zuo's memorial was written in a stern tone, directly accusing Zeng Guofan of negligence. When Empress Dowager Cixi learned of this, she was furious. She immediately revoked all the honors bestowed upon Zeng Guofan and issued a severe reprimand. With that, Zeng Guofan's years of hard work were nearly rendered meaningless, a devastating blow. From then on, the two men became bitter rivals, and their discord became well known throughout the court and country. Yet many have long wondered, why did Zuo Zongtang choose to impeach Zeng Guofan at such a critical moment? Especially considering he had once benefited from Zeng's support in his early years? A common explanation is that Zuo Zongtang did not deliberately target Zeng Guofan, but rather acted out of his upright character. He firmly believed in impartiality in the face of justice, and thus, regardless of personal ties, felt compelled to report the truth to the imperial court. Zuo Zongtang was a man who could not tolerate the slightest compromise. He could not abide even a grain of sand in his eye. Even if someone had once shown him kindness, he would still adhere strictly to principle. This view seems to be somewhat confirmed by Zuo Zongtang's later actions. In March 1872, Zeng Guofan passed away, sending shockwaves throughout the court and drawing widespread condolences from officials. Though Zuo Zongtang was too busy with official duties to attend in person, he wrote a special couplet to express his deep respect. Loyal in governing the nation, discerning in recognizing talent, I shamefully fall short of this great statesman. United in heart like gold, unyielding in debate like stone, I always hoped we would remain true to our shared ideals. This elegiac couplet not only gave high praise to Zeng Guofan's loyalty and insight, but Zuo Zongtang even signed it using the humble term junior, expressing from the bottom of his heart his respect for Zeng as an elder statesman. Moreover, Zuo specifically instructed his eldest son to represent him in paying respects at Zeng's memorial. In the years that followed, Zuo continued to offer care and support to Zeng Guofan's family, especially toward his youngest daughter, showing her great affection and offering frequent help. According to historical records, Zeng Guofan's youngest daughter, Zeng Guofan, married relatively late in life. It wasn't because she was unwilling to marry, but because several of her older sisters had unhappy marriages. Seeing their emotional struggles, Zeng became even more cautious about finding a truly suitable match for his youngest daughter. It wasn't until Zeng Guofan was 24 years old that she married a future official, Nye Gui. Although Nye was considered a talented young man, he had grown up in a privileged environment and had developed a bit of a spoiled, carefree reputation, which caused some concern. After Zeng Guofan passed away, household matters were handled by his second son, Zeng Jize. Known for his strict nature, Zeng Jize looked down on his brother-in-law's bad reputation. Even though Zeng Guofan repeatedly pleaded with her brother to offer Nye opportunities in officialdom, Zeng Jize never relented. At this critical moment, the one who unexpectedly extended a helping hand was none other than Zuo Zongtang, Zeng Guofan's former political adversary. Zuo Zongtang took the initiative to assign Nye Gui to a position in the military affairs office under his jurisdiction. This not only allowed Nye to avoid the stern scrutiny of his brother-in-law but also gave him a valuable opportunity to gain practical experience. It can be said that Zuo not only eased internal tensions within the Zeng family but also helped Nye gain real-world skills. Thanks to this grassroots training, Nye Gui gradually matured. He was no longer just a theoretical talker, but became steady, capable, and equipped with the true qualities of a competent official. His career progressed smoothly, and he eventually became a high-ranking regional governor, achieving great success. Zuo Zongtang's support, however, extended beyond professional help. He also offered the young couple much care in their daily lives, sometimes sending household supplies, and at other times even inviting Zeng Guofan to stay at his home, where he cared for her like a father. In an era when her own father had passed and her brother was strict, such tender attention was truly precious. Some readers might wonder why Zuo Zongtang would go to such lengths. After all, he and Zeng Guofan had once had significant disputes. According to some historians, Zuo Zongtang once casually said, "I just want Zeng Guofan's descendants to have a better life." This simple and sincere remark moved all who heard it. Years later, Zeng Guofan would often mention Zuo Zongtang in the personal chronicle she compiled. She wrote that Lord Zuo had offered her and the entire Zeng family real Tangible help. Whenever she recalled it, she could not hold back her tears. This shows that Zuo Zongtang's kindness back then not only warmed the heart of his old friend's daughter for a lifetime, but also allowed future generations to glimpse the rare warmth and magnanimity found in a great statesman of the late Qing dynasty. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next time.